and I couldn't get over it. It was so pretty, and I had to do it. Like, I had to do it. Hello everybody, it is Letitia again, and today I'm taking you through my planning and development of my temperature blanket for 2023. Now, if you don't know what a temperature blanket is, it's basically a blanket where each row or square or whatever pattern like you're making is dependent on the temperature for that day. So the color you use is like based on temperature bands, and you basically go about the whole year knitting or crocheting depending on those temperatures. Some other people do like mood blankets, they do TV shows and books and other things, and I really felt like I wanted something objective that wasn't in my control, so I ended up doing just like a basic temperature blanket. And I know I'm starting late and I know this video is late, but I had kind of a crazy last year, especially at the end of the year, and I completely forgot that the concept of a temperature blanket existed. So I only ended up buying my yarn like the first week of January, and it's been quite a process since then. So I think for a temperature blanket, or I guess any blanket or anything you're making, there are two important components: your yarn and your stitch. And for the yarn, I wanted colors that I would love forever, because this is quite a big project, right? It's for 365 days. You can't in the middle of it just be like, oh, I hate these colors. So the bright temperature blankets really were not my style, and they're really pretty and really beautiful. It's just, it won't really go with my apartment at all, and I really did think about things like that. And then I saw other color palettes. A lot of people use pastels, and they even use colors that are not in any way related to temperatures, of pinks and teals and purples. So I still wanted to do a rainbow, but I wanted it a little darker, so I decided to choose basically a dark rainbow. So the colors I chose for my temperature blanket are these ones. So my highest band is any temperature greater than 27 degrees, and I chose this dark burgundy, which is like a red brown color. For the band between 25 and 27 degrees, I chose this, it's called rich burgundy. It's like a red, like a dark red. Then for the band between 23 and 25 degrees, I chose this dark orange color. This I added later than the rest of them. I'll tell you why just now. For the band between 20 and 23 degrees, I have this mustard, dark yellow mustard. For the band between 17 and 20 degrees, I chose this dark forest green. So I love this color. For the band between 15 and 17 degrees, I chose navy. For the band between, now there's a bigger band here, 10 to 15 degrees, I chose this aubergine, which is like a dark royal purple color. Really pretty, really gorgeous, love it a lot. And then for anything under 10 degrees, there's this black. The yarn I chose is African Expressions Joy, and it's 15% mohair, 40% superwash wool, and 45% acrylic. It is about a DK-ish weight. I'm using, for my blanket, I'm using a size 3.5 millimeter hook. Yeah, I really like this yarn, and it is South African, so I knew that if I ran out and I mismeasured quantities, I would be able to get more quite easily. I did take all of those things into account when I was choosing my yarn. So then once I chose my yarn, that was pretty easy. I ordered it online and I got it. Aces, right? But then the next decision I had to make was a stitch pattern. Now, initially I really wanted to do V cluster stitches, and I saw a tutorial by Hook by Robin, and I was super into the pattern. Look how pretty this is. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm doing it upside down. Look, it's so wonderful and lovely, and it's not too holy, but it's holy, and it just would make such a beautiful blanket. I know it will, at some point I will use it for a blanket or a thick cardigan or something, because it's so beautiful. Because of the clusters, it gives a really squishy fabric. But the the length of each row, or the height of each row, is about a centimeter. Now I'm doing this for 365 days. That's 365 centimeters. That's crazy. Where would I put a blanket that big? If that blanket is the size of my apartment, seriously, like what am I going to do with that? Like, it just made no sense. So that was the dream that I had to throw away. And then I decided to go with, like, I couldn't find a stitch that was half that length. So I decided to go with the tried and tested, like, temperature blanket stitch, which is this linen stitch. And look, it looks nice, eh? I think it works up really pretty, and you know, I was quite happy with it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think this looks really nice, and I felt quite happy doing it. And initially, like, I really, like, when I was thinking about this whole thing, I really wanted to do rows. Don't ask me why. Like, that was my first thinking. It was like, I'm gonna do a row a day. So when I look for patterns, it was always like the row patterns. And like, I actually started my temperature blanket and I did about 20 days. So 20 rows, like till the 20th of Jan. And I started it, and I'll insert a clip where I was actually really happy with it. The sizing was really pretty. It took about 30 minutes-ish per row, which is not too bad. And you can do it like on the daily quite easily. And catching up wasn't bad either. But like, in the back of my head, it was just like this thought that, like, you know what, I'm doing this for the whole year, and how am I not going to get bored, like, doing the stitch, like only the stitch? Like, it's just so simple. And for me, like, I love doing like the fun crochet things. I think that's what crochet is about. And like, to do this for the whole year, I think I would have been like bored a few months in. Like, that was my thinking. And also what made matters worse was I was on a crochet Facebook group, and I saw a lady who did these hexagons. Now, I always wanted to do hexagons, but I really wasn't a fan of like the standard one, and like the thought of like changing and weaving yarns was just like, for each one I'm gonna have to weave like 3 sets of yarns or 4 sets of yarn. It's too much. And so I just like put it in the back of my mind, and I was like, we're not doing that. Like, we're just not doing it. Like, it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna do these rows and I'm gonna be happy. And I was like convincing myself. But then I saw her like these African flower hexagons, and I couldn't get over it. It was so pretty, and I had to do it. Like, I had to do it. So what I did was I basically frogged the whole blanket and I restarted. So I know with a normal African flower, there's like 4 colors used. I'm just using 3. So the color that makes the petals and the color that joins is 1 color. Because I decided to restart, I wasn't really that happy with the bands, and I felt like it missed a color. So I ended up adding the orange that I got in, and I also had to use a joining color, and the joining color I chose was this dark gray yarn. So let me show you how a flower would look. The minimum color is in the middle, and the maximum color makes up the petals. And then when you join it, it gives you this like real flower effect. Like, you can see this gray like creates the petals. So I'm doing that, and I changed the normal African flower pattern a bit. So for the last, like the joining stitch, I'm not doing double crochet. I think it's just unnecessary. So I'm doing single crochet to join as you go. As you can see, this is how far I've gotten, which is about, I think, 19 days. So I'm going to show you, like, I planned out where I want each of the flowers to go. Like, I did it till 365 days. So the way I worked it out was it would be like 17 of the flowers across, and then it would be 21 up, and then whatever extra actually falls in the slots. But I need to make 1 more so that it's like not empty, and I'll just like make something fun there. I don't know. I haven't really decided. I also haven't decided, I won't lie to you, how I'm going to do the border. Like, I was thinking about it yesterday. If you have any ideas, let me know. So currently it's the 5th of Feb, so I do have a lot more to join. I did make a few flowers, but I was waiting on the yarn for the joining color. So I need to go ahead and like catch up for February, but I will. I don't think it takes that long to join, and it really, honestly, like, I think, like, if I do one a day, it wouldn't take me more than an hour. I think I could speed up even to get it out in like 30 minutes, because I know like each of the flowers took me about 12 minutes to crochet, but like weaving in and then the joining does take me a little bit more time. But it's also because I'm not very used to doing something like this, so I'm like very like particular about the way I do it, and I pause and I look and I stress. So yeah, I think that's why it's taking a bit of time. Now, most of you guys know this if you know me well, and but like, in my heart of hearts, I'm that nerd. I love a good Excel spreadsheet, and I will use it for everything. I use it for planning, I use it for making lists, I use it for everything. So when I was choosing my bands and I wanted to know how much yarn to buy, I basically set up this Excel spreadsheet. So I took the 2022 weather temperatures for maximum and minimums, and then I initially set up like generic bands, so like 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10, and I counted how many temperatures, max temperatures and min temperatures there were for last year that fell into the bands. And I wanted to change the bands so that the colors would be a little more equal over the years. I don't want one color being half of the blanket. Like, that to me is just not great. And it does go to show, like, I mean, South Africa and Johannesburg. Oh, I didn't even say where I'm doing it. I'm doing the temperature for Johannesburg, South Africa. The extreme bands are a little bit wider, and the bands like in the middle are a little bit smaller. So that's how I chose it. So once I was happy with the bands, I worked out the percentage of each color used, like if I had to use last year's temperatures, and then I worked out how many skeins to buy just based on those percentages. I used an estimate of like 3,000 meters, and then I said 500 of those meters will be like joining, and I think I undervalued that because I'm already kind of like flying through the joining yarn, whereas like my actual yarn for the flowers I'm not. So I think I messed up like just approximating how much yarn I would use for the flowers and then how much yarn I would use for joining. I don't think I did that well, but what is okay was that it was an initial estimate, and that's fine. You're allowed to make mistakes and you're allowed to not be accurate. This is the first time I'm using this yarn, and that's okay. I think for me, I just needed a starting point, and again, as I said, like this yarn is easily available to me, so I can just pop out and get more yarn if needed. I'm a little worried that I overbought some of the colors, but that's okay because it is good yarn and I can make hats and scarves and things. But yeah, this is my blanket. I have started again, and I'm about 19 days and I need to make up a good 2 weeks, but that's okay. I can do that, and I'm very excited. It's really pretty, and my hope is that I keep on going and I don't like leave this to the side or slack and forget about it, because that would like really break my heart because it took me so long to plan and make and start. So hopefully this project keeps me entertained. I will make some videos to like keep you updated on how it's going, maybe like little shorts, or update my Instagram, and then maybe I'll make like a big update video halfway through the year, so we'll see how it looks, maybe at the end of the year as well. If you have any ideas on how I should board it, please let me know. I'm really excited for this, and I'm happy to have made the change, and I think it's really pretty, and I'm excited to keep going with it. Anyways, thank you for listening to me ramble on about my temperature blanket. Shout out to my mom and my dad who had to listen to me talk about this for like a good 3 weeks. So shout out to them. If you're watching this again, like, love you lots, but sorry. So thanks for listening to me ramble, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.